Every once in a while, you'll come across a story that lingers in the back of your mind. It'll make you uneasy. It'll leave you asking, how in the world could something like this happen? This is one of those stories. It's about a missing woman, a suspicious husband, a twisted father-in-law, and a horrifying ending that no one saw coming. Susan Powell disappeared in 2009, but what followed was a nightmare that no one could have predicted, and even today, over a decade later, her body has still never been found. Let's go back to the beginning. Welcome to Crime Science. Susan Cox Powell was the kind of person you gravitated toward. She had an infectious laugh, a warm personality, and an unwavering sense of optimism. Born in 1981 in Puyallup, Washington, she grew up in a loving religious family. She was deeply involved in her faith and community, and she had a plan for her future. Then she met Josh Powell. They crossed paths at a dinner party in 2000, and it wasn't long before they started dating. Josh was charming, at first. He seemed ambitious, intelligent, and most importantly, eager to settle down. Within months, they were engaged. By April 2001, they were married. But it didn't take long for the cracks to show. Josh is what you could call difficult. He struggled to hold a job. He cycled through phases, jumping from one career goal to another, but never following through. He started a business, but that failed. Susan, on the other hand, was stable. She worked hard. She kept their finances afloat and tried to be a supportive wife that she always imagined herself to be. But Josh was very controlling. He dictated what Susan could spend money on, even restricting how much gas she could put in her car. He often refused to buy food, forcing Susan to rely on friends and church assistants just to feed their two young sons, Charlie and Braden. There were other red flags too, ones that were far more unsettling. Susan's diary entries tell the story of a woman trapped in an increasingly disturbing marriage. In 2008, she wrote a secret will. Inside it, a chilling line. If I die, it may not be an accident, even if it looks like one. By then, she had already spoken to friends about divorce. But she never got the chance to leave. December 6th, 2009 was the last day that anyone saw Susan Powell alive. That Sunday started off completely normal. The Powell family went to church in the morning. That afternoon, Susan's neighbor and friend Giovanna Owings came over for a visit. She later recalled that Susan seemed off, tired, maybe stressed. But Susan was kind, as always. She made pancakes for dinner and chatted with her boys. Josh, however, was acting impatient. Out of nowhere, he announced he was taking the kids out sledding. At 5 p.m., in the middle of winter. That was strange enough, but Susan stayed behind, and no one saw her ever again. The next morning, Susan didn't show up for work. Her daycare provider called Josh. No answer. Alarm bells rang. By 9 in the morning, Susan's co-workers had contacted the police. Officers went to the Powell house, knocked on the door. No answer. Then they noticed something bizarre. Susan's purse was still there, her phone, her car, and even her wedding ring. Josh and the kids were missing. Then, hours later, Josh suddenly pulled into the driveway with Charlie and Braden in the back seat. The police immediately started questioning him, and his story? It made absolutely zero sense. Josh said, "Oh, I took the boys camping." Camping, eh? In the middle of the night in freezing temperatures. Yeah, he said he just wanted to go out in the desert for a bit. His alibi was definitely absurd. He claimed he took his two young kids, ages 2 and 4, on a midnight camping trip in the middle of winter. Police didn't believe him, and neither did anyone else, myself included. Then the investigation uncovered some disturbing evidence. Inside the Powell home, officers noticed something unsettling. A damp spot on the carpet with a fan blowing on it. Luminol testing later revealed traces of Susan's blood in the living room. Then they found something that sent chills down their spines. Susan's handwritten will was locked inside a safety deposit box. In it, she warned that if anything happened to her, it wouldn't be an accident. Despite all this, there was no body, no concrete evidence of a crime. And Josh Powell, he knew it. So instead of just sticking around, he packed up the kids and moved. Josh took his sons and went back to Washington to live with his father, Stephen Powell. And that's when things got even darker. Stephen Powell wasn't just, a creep. He was obsessed with Susan. He kept hundreds of pictures of her, stole her underwear, and wrote detailed journal entries about his infatuation. He even admitted to recording her without her knowledge. Susan had long been uncomfortable around him. Now her 2 little boys were being raised in his house. The dysfunction in the Powell family ran real deep. Stephen was later arrested for child pornography and voyeurism. As for Josh, he kept fighting for custody of his children, despite growing suspicion that he had killed their mother. Then, in 2012, the case took a horrifying turn. On February 5th of 2012, social worker Elizabeth Griffin Hall brought Charlie and Braden to Josh's home for a supervised visit. She knocked on the door. Josh answered, let the kids inside, then slammed the door shut. Elizabeth pounded on the door, screaming for him to open up. Then she smelled gasoline. She called 911, but it was already way too late. Josh had locked himself and the boys inside, doused the house in gasoline, and set it on fire. Authorities later found that before the explosion, Josh had attacked his sons with a hatchet. It was his final act of pure evil. After Josh's death, police went back through old evidence. A closer look at phone records showed that the night Susan disappeared, Josh had made a series of phone calls to his brother Michael. Michael later dumped his car in a junkyard. When police found it, cadaver dogs detected human decomposition. But before they could push further, Michael Powell killed himself. Another dead end, no pun intended. More than a decade later, Susan Powell has still never been found. Her parents, Chuck and Judy Cox, continue to search for answers. Most people believe that Josh murdered her that night, disposed of her body in the Utah desert, and covered it up with Michael's help. But without a body, the truth remains out of reach. One thing is certain, though. Susan was a victim of control, obsession, and manipulation. Her story is a devastating reminder of the dangers of domestic abuse and the systemic failures that were allowed a dangerous man to take everything from her, including her children. And so, the haunting question remains, where is Susan Powell? If you found this story compelling, please share it. Susan's case deserves to be remembered, and if you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship or situation, know this: there is a way out. Seek help or provide the information necessary, because no one should end up like Susan Powell. Please click the like button and subscribe to our channel for more compelling true crime stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.